that God exists? It's a question that has spurned debates for years, probably centuries. However, over the next few minutes, my goal isn't to make you believe in God. But what I like you to do is, with an open mind, digest the information and see what conclusion, using your power of reasoning, that you come to. Okay. Instead of looking for proof that God exists, why don't we analyze some of the reasons why people don't believe in God? This might give us a little background as to why some people feel so strongly about it. In the research that I've done, what I found is many people, if you grew up a Baptist, pretty much you're going to be a Baptist. Catholic, if you grew up an atheist or agnostic, that's pretty much what people settle into, and they become comfortable with it, and that's what they base their lives on now. Others look at the conditions that we see in the world today, and they say, if we did have an all-powerful God, why would he allow things to exist the way that they do today? Surely a loving God, such as the Bible says that he is, will come to the rescue of his creation. But by and large, the largest group of people who don't believe in God or don't feel a need to pursue a spiritual life say that I only believe what I can see. I don't see any God, so he must not be out there. And so we want to examine that a little bit. And when we say that we only believe in what we see, we want to think about that, because right now, those very same people believe in something that they can't see. In fact, we all do. What is it? Air. Did you see it? You usually can't, unless you live in LA. You usually can't see the air. But that's not all we can't see. When we see the trees swaying in the wind, we don't say that there's no wind, but we believe that the wind exists because of what we see it does. Also, when we go to TV and go to watch American Idol or Dancing with the Stars, we don't see the television or the radio waves that transmit, but we know that they're there because we see the effects. Over here, I have a pair of my son's dirty socks. If I were to open this bag, you would not see the odor that would emanate from it. But trust me, in a very short amount of time, you would know that it's there. So I'm not going to open that for us today. But all of this is to say that we pretty much believe and trust in things that we don't see. So, can we use that same line of reasoning when we go to see if God exists? Can we say that we know that God exists by the things that he's made or by the things that he's done? We can illustrate it this way. If we're driving down a country road and we're seeing beautiful scenery and all of a sudden we come upon a beautiful house, would we say that the wood and materials, the electricity and the plumbing all got together and said, we're going to make a house? I don't think so. And if I told you, you asked me, Cheryl, where did you get that phone? And I say, I put all of the components in a box. And I came back like 5 years later, and I had a phone. You look at me pretty much the way you are right now. So, can we say something as small as a cell phone, you would say that it had a maker? But when we look at the grand universe that we live in, the amazing galaxy that we're in, can we say that that is no less remarkable and no less deserving of a maker? I'd like you to take a note at what an astronaut said. John Glenn, this was on his second venture into space. And when he looked back at the Earth, this is what he said. He said, to say that a random happening of all the planets and the stars came about and then began to move in perfect harmony is inconceivable. To look out at creation and not believe in God is impossible. To see Earth from this vantage point only strengthens my belief. And as time goes on, many in the science community feel the way that John Glenn does. In fact, they share the sentiments at Romans, the first chapter, verse 20, which tells us, "For his invisible qualities are clearly seen from the world's creation onward, because they are perceived by the things made, even his eternal power and Godship, so that they are inexcusable." So John Glenn agrees with the Apostle Paul here when he says that to attribute the things that Jehovah has created to anything but their rightful maker, inexcusable. And when we look out into the universe, doesn't it inspire awe at the many things that are made? But that's the universe. How about us personally? Can we give proof that God exists? Well, just take a look at our bodies. In fact, try to go a day without using one appendage, your thumbs. We are greatly composed. And we have things that not all creation has. We have the ability to see in color, to hear beautiful sounds, to taste delicious foods. And none of these are necessary to sustain life. So do we think that these evolved and this was just a mistake that went really well? Or does it also lend to the idea that there was a creator who had loving care and gave us these things? We also have something in all of us, some of us a little higher, some of us a little lower, that is also not in animals. And we can illustrate that by when we're driving down the street, why do we stop at a stop sign? Why don't we run somebody over? Why don't we steal, the majority of us, why don't we steal something? It's because in all of us we have conscience. And whether we're good or bad, we still have it. And that further gives proof of a God, because that tells us that the supreme lawgiver has given us a guideline by which to live our lives by. So you can go into one of the worst prisons in the U.S. and find somebody who's murdered a lot of people, and he will have a disdain for a child molester. Why? Because of his conscience. So when we take all these things together, Jehovah God's creations, the universe itself, us, what conclusion would you come to? Accident or intelligent supreme maker? Okay. All I gotta do is download it.